What's good? Giving my thoughts on UFC 309, the announcement of Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. They announced this at the 306 card, the Sphere card. I don't know why they're making this fight. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Stipe is coming off a knockout loss to Francis Ngannou in, when was that, like March 2021 or something like that, which he's coming off a loss like almost 5 years ago. No, 4 years, almost 4 years ago. Like three and a half years ago was the last time he fought, and he's coming off a knockout loss. And he's walking into a title shot against Jon Jones. So number one, there's your number one red flag about this fight. It makes no sense because the number one, he doesn't deserve it whatsoever. Stipe doesn't. Number two, Tom Aspinall's the interim champion of the heavyweight division. He should be getting the title shot against Jon Jones. What's the point of interim titles if the UFC is just gonna pick and choose who they want to fight for the title anyway? There's no point. There's no point to an interim title. It means nothing because the UFC can just say, sorry, interim champion, we're going to give a title shot to this guy who's coming off a loss fucking half a decade ago almost. Makes no sense. Interim belts mean nothing. So for fighters going forward, if you ever win an interim belt, just know that you're not guaranteed a title shot, even though you've won the interim belt, which is what it's meant for. That's what it's meant for. The interim title, so you fight the number one, you fight the champion when he's ready. Bullshit, but fucking, this is what they're doing. That's what they're going with. I mean, you all know anyway. You all know this fight's pathetic. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It should be Jon Jones versus... To be honest, Jon Jones shouldn't be the champion. It should be Tom Aspinall. Should be the undisputed heavyweight champion right now. Jon Jones has fought once in 4.5 years. He lost to Dominic Reyes. That's a fact. He lost to Dominic Reyes. He did not win that fight. So he's 1-1 in his last two. He beat Cyril Gane, which, fair, but Cyril Gane's not really all that. He should be stripped. He should have been stripped. He won the title in March of last year. And now he's going to fight in November of this year. So that's 12 months. That's 21 months between fights. You should be stripped. That's almost 2 years out. You should absolutely be stripped of the title. It should have been... when he got injured, it should have been Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich for the vacant belt. Tom Aspinall won. So right now it should be Tom Aspinall as the undisputed champion versus Jon Jones as the number one contender. That's what it should be. But no, we're in this weird boxing thing where the champion can sit out for 2 years and then fight some absolute nobody who no one cares about and duck the actual dangerous contenders that are going to give him problems. But whatever, is what it is. That's just what we're facing. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can say. There's no amount of backlash that's going to get them to change their mind. The fight's signed. It is what it is. It's going down November 16th, Madison Square Garden. Jon Jones, 27 wins, 1 loss in MMA. And Stipe Miocic, who is 20 wins and 4 losses. Who do I think is going to win? I think Jones will win, but it's not really much of a surprise. I think everybody's picking Jones. I don't think really anybody thinks 43-year-old Stipe is going to win this fight. He's way past his prime. His chin's gone. He's been out for so long. I don't see him winning this fight. Jon Jones, I think he gets, to be honest, but I think Jones will not look good in the fight. I don't think he'll look good. I think he'll beat Stipe by like a decision. But I don't think he'll look impressive. I don't think it'll be an impressive win. And I think the narrative coming out of the fight will be, yeah, but Tom Aspinall beats the shit out of him. That'll be the narrative coming out of of fight week. I think it'll be Tom Aspinall's the real champion, which is, I think that is what people see Aspinall as right now, like the real champ. He's the real heavyweight champion. He's fighting the contenders. He's beating the contenders, smoking them in under a minute. Something Jones has never done. He's never smoked anyone like that ever. Apart from like Chael Sonnen, but Chael Sonnen is not really good. And he was a middleweight his whole career, so it means nothing. Yeah, but I mean, the co-main event is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, which is a weird fight. Chandler's out of his fight with what's his face, Conor McGregor, which, I mean, we all saw that coming. I'm just gonna pull up the card right now. Can I pull up the card? There we go. Yeah, so Jon Jones Stipe main event, co-main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler rematch, 5 rounds in the lightweight division. I'm not really interested in this fight, to be honest. Like, we saw Charles smoke Chandler. I mean, it was competitive the first round, to be honest. Like, Chandler did win the first round, had him hurt, had him in some trouble. But I don't know. It's interesting to see who's going to win, but I just don't think Charles gets much from it. I just think if he wins, like, cool, you beat Chandler again. You've already done it. And it's not like Chandler's a great win at the minute. He's like almost 40 years old. He's coming off a loss. Like, he 2-3 in the UFC. One of the losses is to Charles. So if Charles beats him, it's a win on his record. And I guess he can always say, oh, well, I beat Chandler twice. But it's not really... It doesn't really do anything for him. I feel like Charles could have fought... He could have looked for like a Dan Hooker fight. Someone who's higher ranked than Chandler, which is kind of weird that Chandler knocked out Hooker, but now he's higher ranked. It doesn't really make sense. What?
Open the door.
No.
Why not?
Because I'm busy. Fucking hell. Anyway, yeah. It doesn't really make any sense. Fucking messed my groove up there. The fight doesn't make any sense. Right. 1, 2, 3, boom. Yeah, the fight doesn't make any sense. I feel like Charles could have fought Dan Hooker, something like that, something better. Someone higher ranked than Chandler, who's going to get him closer to the title, because I don't think Chandler gets him to the title. I don't think it gets him any closer to the title than he is now. I guess it just gets him back on a winning streak. It's a big fight, I guess. But not really that interesting, to be honest. I mean, for Chandler, it's a win-win. Not really win-win, because if he loses, then he loses again. But if he wins, like, he redeems a loss off his record, and he's back in like the top 3 again. So he's right back into title talks. He probably might get a title shot if he beats Charles, to be honest. But yeah, to be honest, the more I think about it, the more interested I am. I just thought, just weird matchmaking. You could have put them against, like, Chandler. If he's not going to fight Conor, you could have done him against Masvidal if Masvidal came back, which he is talking about doing. Charles, you could have done him versus Dan Hooker, but like, there was some sick fights for Charles up at welterweight. They're on about him versus Colby. They're on about him versus Colby. Him versus like Kamaru Usman. Him versus, who was the other guy they're on about at welterweight? I don't know. There was some sick fights at welterweight though for Charles. I think Charles Colby would have been a sick fight, a really sick fight. I would have been really interested to see that. But yeah, that fight's made. We'll find out what happens, I guess, on November 17th for the UK. But yeah, not. It doesn't like get me really excited. I don't know, like a Charles versus Hooker would have done. or like a Charles versus Colby. I really want to see Charles versus Colby because I think Charles would have beaten him. And then if he beat Colby, he'd be in the top 5 at welterweight, which would have been very interesting. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys like a quick breakdown of the card, what I thought of it. I don't like Jones Miocic at all. I don't think anybody does. I think we all agree that it should be Jones versus Aspinall. And Miocic, if he wants to fight someone, fight Cyril Gane, fight someone like that, fight Jailton Almeida, something like that. Then for Charles versus Chandler, the more time goes on, the more I'm excited, to be honest. I'm kind of scared Charles is going to lose. If Chandler wins, it's like, people are going to say like, well, Charles was never really champion because he couldn't beat the same guy twice. But I don't know. I think he wins though. I think Charles wins. I think he'll get a KO early again. I just think Chandler's old. He's been chinned so many times. He's been out for so long. He'll be out for 2 years when he fights Charles, because it was November 2022 when he fought Poirier. MSG still. So he'll be fighting Charles at MSG again. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Interesting card. November 17th, Madison Square Garden, UFC 309. Yeah, I just wish it was Jones Aspinall, but we can't get what we want these days with the UFC. It seems like they're gonna make the fights they want to make. They're not gonna make the fights that the fans want to see. But whatever, is what it is. Enjoy the fights.